Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the playing of
the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast
with your host, the 2023 IBWAA Podcast Host of the Year, Jana, and her big brother, Jack. We're sneaking up on you. It's time for kind of like an in-between seasons episode, I guess. Little 6-7.
Yeah,
Going from episode 6 to episode 7. 6-7.
Mm-hmm.
So we got we just figured it looks like we're probably not going to have our season debut until mid-April. And so we just wanted to, kind of get out here, talk about a few things that we've seen, ready, and not be too much later, and let you know. Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast is back, and season 7 will be upon us, and we'll have that mid-October. I believe we will be debuting somewhere around Jackie Robinson Day.
Oh, perfect.
So
yes, mid-April, not October.
Did I say October?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, whoa, okay.
Mid-April. Yes. Yes.
We're
be taking the season off. We're going to be like the Dodgers. We're just showing up for the World Series.
That's right.
Who cares about the rest of it? Anyway, lots to talk about with a few things happening. Number one, and that's the other thing. We got to get this out of the way now because tournament time. And be more focused on my brackets than spring training or anything like that.
True.
And we just got the WBC out of the way. So we can talk a little bit about that and some other things that we've seen, some stuff to look forward to or not to look forward to as the new season is upon us. Remember, you can always find us on our social media like Twitter or Blue Sky at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
And at Facebook and Instagram at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
And, of course, our website, siblingrivalrybb.com. And don't forget to hit the Fanatics link. You can probably get all kinds of WBC gear, including the championship gear. So, go check that out through one of our links, siblingrivalrybb.com. The Fanatics link's at the top of the page. So, where do we start? We got spring training's almost done. The March Madness is upon us. And actually, I would think this year feels a little, with baseball, there seems to be a little March Madness because the first game of the season, unlike the last few years, where opening day, everybody played, they're going back to an older time when just one game will happen like a couple of days or one day before, and then everybody else will start playing. But this one isn't even going to be on any regular TV like ESPN or, no cables. Nope. It's going to be on Netflix.
Yes, because you always think, where do I want to watch baseball? You want to catch a baseball game? Oh, yeah, totally. Let's watch it on Netflix.
Right. And, let me see what is the top 10 on Netflix. And then
what are they recommending?
What they're recommending. And then ignore all of that for a classic New York old-time rivalry with the Yankees playing the formerly of New York Giants. Now the San Francisco Giants, in case you haven't been paying attention over the last, 90 years or 100 years or whatever.
Yeah. Well,
about
what did
60 some odd years since they moved.
Yeah. Yeah. And it looks like, just as a preview, Max Fried will be starting for the Yankees and Logan Webb for the Giants. So that's a pretty good matchup.
Yeah. And we'll see if Aaron Judge can return to his Yankee self and shake off his Team USA slumping.
Yeah, and hopefully he doesn't give the team speech.
Right. Yeah, that's what I heard. I never looked at it. I was like, well, I did see that people were like, well, Mike Trout would have had him ready to run through a wall.
Yeah.
No to tell you, but I think, yeah, we could talk about the World Baseball Classic. So in the off season, the Dodgers made some moves.
They did. They made some
The
big moves.
Angels really didn't.
Yeah, but the Angels, nobody cares about moves because
True.
Angel fans are they're happier about paved parking lots.
Right.
And you and I discussed a good paved parking lot with newly fresh painted lines.
Yeah, absolutely right. That there's nothing like a fresh lines, freshly asphalted or laid out, slurry sealed parking lot. And yeah, I mean that's probably like in Anaheim. That's like the greatest part of going to Anaheim Stadium is the parking because there's plenty of it. You don't have to walk that far. And I don't know what it costs now, but it had been pretty affordable. It's not like going to Dodger Stadium where you're paying $50 for
True.
parking or more. And then, it was only 20 and maybe 30 now,
But Molly Jolly, who is now
She's
the
taken over for John Carpino, the
president of the
Presidente.
Angels, Molly Jolly, she has identified one of the issues, and that is lowering the cost of nachos in a helmet. Helmet
Of
nachos.
course. See, this is it. That we're missing the genius of the Angels Brain Trust.
Right.
Artie came in, lowered the price of beer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know how that goes with this whole thing of we don't care about winning. We care about affordability and a safe environment.
Yes.
Lowering the price of beer doesn't always work with safe environment.
No, because do you remember? I don't know if you remember because I don't remember exactly when it happened. I know I wasn't probably even alive. Maybe I was. Where they had the 10-cent beer night. And that did not go well.
Chicago, yeah, no, that was
Yes.
Yeah, that didn't go well, but he didn't quite bring it down that far. But yeah, see, that's the thing. But imagine this. If all you're doing is getting cheap beer, but it costs you a lot to get helmet nachos to go with the beer, so you're not putting any food in to help absorb some of the alcohol.
Right.
It caused a problem. Now, and what do you expect from somebody named Molly Jolly? Her parents, there was something going on there. And unless she went and changed her name later, I want to have a rhymey name.
Maybe.
The whole thing is, we don't want winning as Angels fans. We just want affordability, which I can't argue with that.
No, everybody wants affordability.
You want to go to a game. You don't want you don't have to mortgage your house or rob a bank.
Yeah, don't rob a bank to go to a ball game.
Or something like that. Those are the things I get, but somewhere in there, what obviously Artie's not picking up on is, and all he has to do is look north about 30 miles and realize that the Dodgers are charging whatever they want and they're selling out.
Oh yeah, people are still going because they want the experience.
And what
being at Dodger
happens
Stadium.
most of the time at Dodger games?
They win.
Oh, I mean, I think the only reason people, would probably, I think people want to spend a little bit of money for an Angels game on the rare, very rare occasion that they might have a Anthony Rendon sighting. But, okay, maybe not. Anyway,
I don't think they would pay more for that. They would ask to be paid.
So let's look. Yes, I believe so. And let's just get this out of the way, even though I want to talk more Dodgers to start off here. Anthony Rendon, they did renegotiate his contract, but instead of just paying him out this year and being done, now they've basically extended him. He's not going to play. He has given he's on the DL and will be not even at camp or any place. He's not coming, so he's
Yeah,
not
he's
there.
rehabbing at home, is what Perry
Yeah,
said,
in
which has been
Texas.
happening the last how many seasons?
Right, and so he's
7.
not
No.
he's not around almost. He's not around. He's so he's not going to be there. Good, but he's going to count against things for a few more years. And then the part that everybody was hoping for was that by doing that deal, there'd be more money this season for them to go out and get somebody. But they didn't, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But with the Dodgers, and a question that's going to come up throughout this next season, are they really ruining baseball by the things that they're able to do? And of course, a lot of people, we know that that there's some issues coming up, labor issues, and we saw at the beginning of spring training, players coming out and saying we think what the Dodgers are doing is great. So the union message is being spread, and of course, everybody else is saying no. We want to. There's fans, the owners. Most of the owners, I don't know, all of them want this, but are talking about that whatchamacallit, salary cap. So, but so now here it is. Why did this become an even bigger thing about ruining baseball and salary caps? Well, the Dodgers went out and signed the top 2 free agents in their positions to be Dodgers.
Yeah, so the Dodgers signed Edwin Diaz to a 3-year, $69 million contract, $9 million signing bonus, and it's one of the highest salary, contracts for a relief pitcher. But can you imagine what is it? The Tommy Trumpet?
Timmy Trumpet.
I'm like, Tommy, that doesn't sound right.
No.
The Timmy.
Tommy Two-Tone.
Yes.
Timmy Trumpet.
Timmy Trumpets at Dodger Stadium. That's going to be awesome.
It's going to be because, you can do that and have him come out and play with some mariachis.
It's going to be
yeah, it's going to be insane.
Awesome. Now,
and then if
to
that
pitch well.
wasn't, that's true. And if that's not enough, and I didn't notice how he pitched in the WBC. I didn't get to see as much of the WBC as I would have liked to. I did mostly reading, seeing some things, here and there. But the question to be asked is, how will he end up? He's going to be back. He's back in Dodgers camp. I'm sure they'll be throwing him out there someplace. I know Shohei just got his first spring start.
Yes,
and he had been pitching with Japan. So, just doing some live batting practice and stuff. But you would think that for most teams, signing the top reliever in baseball would be enough.
That's it. You don't need to do any more. However, that is not the Dodger way. And to even put the more of an exclamation point on Dodgers are ruining baseball, they signed Kyle Tucker.
Yep.
To a 4-year, $240 million contract, a $64 million signing bonus. He has opt-outs after the 2027, 2028 seasons. $30 million of that is deferred. A lot of people get all upset about that, but it's happening all over baseball. And they're upset. because they wanted Kyle Tucker and they didn't get him.
Right. And Kyle Tucker was offered longer contracts, not necessarily more money, but longer contracts elsewhere. And Toronto being one place. And he said, no, I'm going to go do this. And I don't think that he did it necessarily. Yes, the money was nice and it was the most. I mean, it puts him up in the top, 3 or 4 best paid players, which I don't know that, in the big picture that he matches up in there.
Yeah, I thought that the contract, it seemed excessive to me for Kyle Tucker. But if Kyle Tucker, he didn't have a great season last season. I mean, he was injured and he played injured and so could this be a good, like, not say breakout season, but from a breakout from last season because he's
Right.
in a new place. I'm excited that he's going to be in right field. That means Teoscar can go back home to left field where he needs to be.
Right. Yeah. The outfield definitely got stronger by having
Yes.
him in there, and it creates some more issues with how, depending on how Dave works out his lineup, you really could go, lefty, righty, lefty, righty, lefty, righty for the first few, almost all the way down,
Mhm.
and just by inserting him in there, and have really it will cause problems for other teams, and how they decide to deploy their bullpens, and starters against the Dodgers. So those were all there, and those were the only 2 big giant moves they made. And of course, the Dodgers always will pick up a player here or a player there and sign him to a minor league contract or something. But and
Well,
of
and
course,
also there were Miguel Rojas, Miggy
right,
Rowe. He needed to be signed back with the Dodgers, so all Dodger fans are super excited about that. He is a hero of Dodger fans everywhere because of that home run. I mean, I think he hit a home run or something. I don't know. It's not like I haven't watched it like I don't know how many times. I just watched it the other day, in fact. Kike Hernandez will be back, and Evan Phillips.
yes, and then somebody that we're, I think, kind of hoping they just let him go somehow, some way, would be Blake Trinan. He has had a terrible spring.
It's been bad.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that's not always indicative, but it's like he's not pitching better than he was during the season last year. So now,
Yeah. And I did hear they got Ben Rortvet, who was a great addition last season. He's a catcher. And then they DFA'd him and then, to make a roster spot. And then I think the Mets picked him up, but I think from what I understand, the Mets may not keep him. And if that's the case, the Dodgers said that they will pick him back up.
we
Yeah.
pick him up. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Cuz is in New York, unless he's
Yeah.
been, I haven't looked to see what's been happening much with that, but see how
Yeah.
he's doing.
Cuz
So,
in New York. That's sad, but at least he's playing somewhere.
yeah, that's key. So for the most part, what do the Dodgers need to do this season to look at? Who should be in the lineup? Who are the pitchers? Um, and so that they can push towards number 3.
Well, I think right now they're doing a good job of, like I said, they got Miggy Rowe back. They got Kike Hernandez back. Those are 2 big pieces of the clubhouse. And the clubhouse is important. You can't underestimate the vibe in the clubhouse. Freddie Freeman is at first. Max is at third. Mookie's at shortstop. Will Smith, like he's the best catcher in Major League, right? I mean, he's just awesome. So you got them. And then got Teoscar, who's looked had a little kind of slow spring, but looks good. Andy Pajes, and we still have Alex Call, so you still have him in there in the mix there. So those guys, that's your framework because they've been there. They're cohesive. Second base is where it's going to be a little like who's going to play there because you have Hassan Kim and then Santiago Espinal, who has been great this spring. So will it be a platoon situation? And Kim came back after playing with Korea with an injury, but not anything that he's going to miss time. But what's that going to look like? Tommy Edman, who has also played second, but he's also played out in center field. He had ankle surgery over the off season, so he's still rehabbing and getting back on, doing baseball activities. But you could probably expect him to be playing there once he's back. And then you also have Miguel Rojas, who can, short and second. So that's one that's kind of like, I'm not sure who's going to be there. Andy Pajes, center field, Kyle Tucker, right, Teoscar in left. So what they're doing is they've really kept, like I said, that core group of guys together. And Freddie Freeman's swing looks better. Even his dad said the swing is back. It's looking good. Yobo, why can I never say his name?
I don't know.
Yamamoto. That's what I call him. But he's going to be the opening day starter. I don't think that's a surprise. Tyler Glass now. Yeah, Shohei will be in the rotation. Blake Snell is not going to be, I think he was injured or just sore. Not quite sure. He's not on the injured list, but I think they're slow playing him, ramping him up. So he's probably not, he's not going to be pitching opening day, but he's not going to be pitching, I'm not sure. Is it going to be late April, May? We're not sure. So that means there's Roki Sasaki, who looks like he's going to be in the rotation, but he hasn't looked good as a starting pitcher in spring training. Emmett Sheehan, and then River Ryan, and River Ryan has looked good. So I think he, being in the rotation, Emmett Sheehan, of course, and then Justin Wroblewski, I think would also round that out.
And there was, you mentioned Blake Snell, but also thought that we might see Gavin Stone, and he's had a setback as well.
Yeah. So he was out all last season and he had a shoulder surgery. He has inflammation in his shoulder. He doesn't have any structural damage, so that's good. But again, when is he going to be able to pitch? So you kind of can't count him on the opening day or, opening starter rotation.
Right. Okay. What's the bullpen look like? Obviously, we know Edwin Diaz is going to bring taking the closer spot.
Yes, and you still have Tanner Scott, but I feel good about Tanner Scott this season because I think this could be a bounce back year for him, especially because we found out that he had to have surgery during the postseason and wasn't on the roster. But what he had is, from what I understand, I know somebody who had this done, is very painful. And so I think he was trying to pitch through that, and where it is, it's kind of like at your tailbone. That's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna, as much as he made me yell at the TV and groan when he came in to any game, I'm going to give him, hey, you were going through it last season. I think you'll be good. Brewstar Gratterall is back, but he's another one. Love to see him, but his velocity is down. And I think they're also it's going to be slow with him as well. The guy that I love seeing back, Alex Vesia, is back, and he looks really good. He's looked really good in spring training. Now, this one, it was a surprise, but Anthony Bonda was traded to Minnesota. I think he was surprised, and I know all Dodger fans were surprised because he was a big part of the bullpen.
Yeah. Well, he was. I saw a thing with him in a Twins hat saying, "I'm surprised. I didn't expect that."
That's funny. I saw him in a Twins hat, and he said, "I'm surprised." I'm sorry. That just sounded funny, but yeah, he was surprised. I think we all were kind of surprised. But yeah, I mean, who else do we have in there?
You know what it was? Is the guy said, "This sounds like a shocking situation," and he said, "I'm shocked."
I know, yeah.
From like
Okay.
dodgeball.
Oh, yes,
When
I'm shocked.
I'm shocked, Cotton.
That's right. We cannot discount because another World Series hero, Will Klein, and then you have Ben Casparius, and
Ben, can you be serious?
yes.
I don't know why that popped in my head like that.
I don't know. Who else do we have in the bullpen? Edgardo Henriquez, who, has not been, he's had his moments. And then Jack Dreyer, of course, he's very, he's one of those guys that he's dependable. That
Right.
just comes in. So I feel like the bullpen, obviously with the addition of Edwin Diaz, I feel like it's in a good spot as well. But everyone has to play well. I mean, that's, duh, that's common sense, right? Everybody has to play well. But one thing that we've seen in the Dodger bullpen is it's either everybody is great and it's lights out, or you've got one or two you can rely on, and the rest you're like, really? You got this guy coming in? Are you serious? And that's what we don't want. Now, that guy right now, it continues to be Blake Trinan.
I'm wondering if, depending, obviously it'll depend upon how things start off, but if Roki doesn't end up back in the bullpen.
Yeah, I think they want to give him that starter
runway
position. Yes, they would get a runway. But at what cost? Because are you going to put him in the rotation knowing that it may not work out and it's going to be a bullpen game every time he pitches?
Right.
I mean, he can get better throughout the season, but is he better in the bullpen? Is he a better relief pitcher than a starting pitcher? And I think I'm leaning towards relief pitcher, because when he went to Oklahoma City last season, when they switched it and said, you're going to be a reliever. He was great. It was like, that was his niche, because not everybody's a starting pitcher. Oh, of course. I don't think, did I mention Tyler Glasnow? I think I did, but maybe not.
You did. You just kind of real quick, starting pitchers will be Yoshi, Tyler.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Which I think Tyler Glasnow, we've seen he's had some injury issues, but again, he looked good during, I think for him, a big deal. He wasn't able to contribute. He did not pitch in the 2024 World Series, but he got the opportunity to do that in the last World Series. I think that makes a difference in confidence and who you are. And I think that's what Glasnow needed. was that boost.
Yeah. So, yeah, and he hasn't looked too bad the couple times I have seen some spring training outings.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the questions then, where do people go? And that, once again, I think we're looking at, while this year it seems a little more set, we're still not fully sure what's going to happen in the start with the starters. Still got a lot of them, but there's already 2 down with some kind of injury things. And like you said, Blake Snell's injury is kind of like, what is it? Is it fatigue from last year? He didn't, I did hear Max Muncy talk about that a lot of the guys, like once they were done, they took like a month off from doing anything, more or less, maybe a little
Yeah.
bit of workouts, but not crazy training that they normally do, just to give themselves a break because they started early
Mm-hmm.
in Tokyo and then played till the end, and so they all needed a break. So now the question will be, for any of these guys, what's going to happen as far as will they run out of gas early? Is Blake Snell's thing more of just um, building up differently
Mm-hmm.
to get in there? There are a lot of, I mean, like anytime, there's still going to be questions. They still got to win, ruining baseball or not. Yeah, you know what? We got all the best players, but that doesn't mean you're going to win.
No, I mean, you can, Dave Roberts can construct a lineup and people would be like, well, but you got Mookie Betts, starting off or, hitting first or second or, Shohei usually starts off, but whatever, and then I think I heard Freddie was going to be fourth in the lineup and you can make what you think. I mean, think it's almost like fantasy baseball in a way with the Dodgers, these are the guys you want. But that doesn't mean that they're going to always hit the ball when they need to, or
Right.
advance a runner, or, do all the things they need to do to win a game. And it doesn't, I mean, obviously, having this lineup, you feel good about it going into every game. But again, it's not a given because it's baseball.
Right. And that's the end result. When they look at it, it's like, this is a team that, could have easily been out of, the playoffs. It took them 7 games to beat the Blue Jays.
True.
Yeah, so they won. And yeah, they got 2 of the better players on the market this last year. That's still not a guarantee because you still got to play the games. Period.
Yeah. I mean, as a Dodger fan, I'm excited to see, uh, to watch this first game and see how they all gel together. Again, though, they do have that advantage because they have the core and adding in, the
Well,
2 guys.
and you've got even the young guys have World Series experience now.
Yes.
Andy Pajes is still young, but it's not like he's, they've done a lot of changes and he's the only guy out there with that. Teos was there. Kyle Tucker's been around long enough and he's been in a World Series.
Mhm.
These are guys that, and then the rest of them are all, are game, battle tested. So will they? And one thing that, obviously we're watching for Mookie this year will, obviously so far so good because he's not sick like
Yeah,
he
that was
was,
huge.
and that, losing a lot of weight and then having to recover from that. All of these things, surgeries, things like that. Certain surgeries you can come back from a little quicker, but you look at these guys with Tommy John and stuff. Yeah, even if they come back kind of on the regular timetable, that first year or half a year that they're back is not. It's another year before they're fully back to where they are. And now you've got other things going with shoulder issues. Thoracic outlet syndrome seems to have become a big thing. And from what I understand, that's worse than Tommy John surgery with the surgery that they have for that. So yeah, there's a lot of options, but it's hard to bet against the Dodgers.
Yeah.
So, all right. And as we know, you can have a stacked team and not win everything. And we'll talk more about that when we get to Around Baseball. Right now, though, let's take a look at what the Angels have going on. And really, we've already addressed to some extent the remarks that Artie came out with of winning is not even in the top 5 of most of our fans, based on some ghost survey that they did. We don't have that. That's not something that that the fans care about. They want affordability. Okay, that's probably 1 and 1A. Winning, affordability, a safe environment. Okay, well, sure, we all want that, but would I take winning? I don't think it's going to be a terrible environment there. I don't expect to be like go to the stands to watch a game and kind of feel like I'm in a dark back alley somewhere and somebody's pulling their
You're gonna get
switchblade on me
knifed.
for
Yeah.
my helmet nachos. Well, and maybe that won't be an issue anymore because they're going to be more affordable. So the criminals
Well,
won't feel the need to, shiv you like a prison movie to get your helmet nachos.
yeah. I mean, right there. I mean, Molly Jolly just solved an issue. And that's great.
And now we know why she's the next president.
Yeah. You don't want to have to defend your helmet nachos.
No, you don't. Yeah, you don't want any battling going on in the stands for over helmet nachos.
Yeah.
You just all right. So like we said, one thing that we did, we got the whole question about Anthony Rendon. Regardless of what happened money wise, he's not there. He's not going to play for them ever again. Probably. I can't foresee that would happen. Did they handle it correctly? No.
Well, I don't
not in my
understand.
opinion.
Yeah, I don't understand why didn't they just say here you go? Because I think he was owed $38 million
Roughly, yeah.
roughly. I mean, obviously that's a lot of money. But they're going to pay him over several years, but like you said, he's going to have a roster spot. He's not, I mean, he's going to be injured, so they'll move him to the 60-day, but he's always going to be there.
Yeah, till that time frame is up, he's there. And he's even said he still wants to play. It's like, why did you say that now?
Yeah.
He
wants to play what? Yahtzee?
Tiddlywinks, Yahtzee, sure. I got all 5s.
Yeah.
I'm going to put this one down under chance.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we know that he's out of the mix. And then when we talk about, let's just talk about pitchers. We talk about like Roki going from being a reliever, going back to trying the starter thing again. The Angels are also doing that with Reed Detmers, who they put in the bullpen because he was having a really hard time starting. Well, this season he's back as a starter. We'll see if that lasts. He's got more experience with it than Roki does as far as major leagues go. So we'll see that. Jose Soriano is going to be the opening day pitcher. You've got Kikuchi, who played for Japan in the WBC because he was able to get insured, apparently. So you've got those 3. The Angels traded Taylor Ward to the Orioles for Grayson Rodriguez, pitcher who's not looked too terribly bad. but he didn't pitch last year, so he's coming back. And then they also, and this is where, why didn't they try some of this money, use some of this money that they supposedly were saving by breaking down Rendon's deal to get maybe just a little better pitcher, not a reclamation project here, and certainly not Alek Manoah, who
No.
is right now is probably going to be the fifth starter, even though he shouldn't even leave camp with the team. He should be done.
Well, it should be done, and he does have options, so they could send him to the
No,
minors.
they should
but
option him to the minors. And he said, well, he's been pitching really bad, but he's like, oh yeah, it's just spring training. It doesn't matter.
yeah,
It's like, well, kind of does, because you need to show us something. We don't want to get into the season with you doing the same thing. And while he made one point was like, well, if I have a great spring, you're not just going to give me the Cy Young right now. So why, so I mean, obviously we'll see, but they don't have a lot of choices. And then they have in their pitching staff the answer to Anthony Rendon and Robert Stevenson, who has been, and this guy, genuinely, we never know what's going on with Rendon. It's like, oh yeah, no, he's limping, but they're going to cut off one of his ears. That's what he's really, It's like, well, what about the limp? Well, we don't know about the limp, but he's going to lose an ear. And Stevenson has genuinely been having arm problems. And I just wonder if he's like Samuel L. Jackson in the movie Unbreakable.
oh right,
Mr. Glass. You've got
yes,
players like that, and his elbow, it looks like he's coming back. It looks like things are going to be good. And then he has this setback with his arm. And we don't know, when's he get back. Who knows? And then Ben Joyce, who, everybody's excited about because he can throw 150,000 miles an hour. Problem is, he doesn't really know how to pitch. He just knows how to throw hard. And then he's going to be constantly having shoulder and eventually elbow issues as well. And he's supposed to be coming back. We'll see where he comes, shows up in the mix of things. But the Angels did a lot of that. Just they spend a little bit of money on somebody that's got all of these guys were at their floor and their potential. Alek Manoah had a high ceiling at one time. Potentially, if he could reclaim that, Grayson Rodriguez too. Maybe these guys could really turn things around, but it doesn't feel like it. And they got a few other guys that they tried. Vaughn Grissom, who was coming up as an infielder, like potentially, being a great player, and he's not really been. So he's there, and he's not had a good spring. What are they going to do? At this point, we know who we have that are for sure. We got Nolan Shanuel at first base. We got Zach Neto at shortstop. And then, by all accounts, Mike Trout in center field. And then probably Joe Adell in right.
mm-hmm.
Jorge Soler will probably get a lot of the DH because Mike wants to play all the time. And he's been running faster than he had before. He's really seems to be, had a great offseason, it seems like, and he's been, pushing it in spring training. So who knows? He's been kind of a Mr. Glass kind of guy too, where something's got broken or something's got strained or hurt. And, we need him to be there. And then left field, who knows who will be over there, depending on what happens. So, and you've got other guys that, you've got Chris Taylor. They re-signed Chris Taylor. Who knows if he'll make the club, and if he does, we know he's a utility guy. He could play lots of different places. Jan Moncada was signed again to play third base, a guy that a couple seasons ago I was high on and wanted people to sign, and then probably better that they didn't. But Heimer Candelario was having a great season, and then it just kind of fell apart. But he's had a great spring. He can play first. He can play third. Moncada's not going to start the season at third because he's injured. So there's just going to be, and the other guy, Peraza, who they picked up last year, is another guy who could definitely, help. But there are going to be a lot of platoons. Second base, everybody wondered about Christian Moore. He's been sent down to AAA camp. So it looks like Adam Frazier, who is a veteran that they signed invited him to a minor league contract, inviting him to camp. May be there. Another guy that we know his name and kind of rooted for, Trey Mancini. Probably not, because he's having he hasn't had a good year. But there's options. Josh Lowe, that's another guy that's probably going to play, maybe start in left field.
Yeah, that's who I was wondering if he would get the start there. You do have some bullpen help, I guess, or with some veterans. Kirby Yates, who was with the Dodgers, is an Angel now. He looked okay, last season. He wasn't great as a Dodger. Brent Suter, Jordan Romano, and Drew Pomerantz.
Right. So names that you've heard out there at different times that could be, good solid pieces. We'll see how they come around, and whether they're good. Jack Kahanowitz, who by the time last season was over, we were happy he wasn't up anymore. They sent him down. He's looked okay in the spring. He might be there. Ryan Johnson, who's like the number 2 or 3 in Angels farm system, has looked good. So that there might be him. And then of course we'll see like Sam Bachman, who we thought was going to be something, and he's had his injury issues. But I think he's just going to be one of those guys that he comes in. If he can provide you with a solid inning or two here or there, you're going to be happy with it.
Well, I'm curious because about when you're looking at free agents, and there are still some free pitchers that are on the list here. So, like Patrick Corbin is still a free agent, but he is he's kind of has an upside, right? I mean, especially
he fits in the Angels scheme of things as far as like high upside, really low, you're plumbing the depths. But
I mean, I wouldn't do this, but it could change his career. Nestor Cortez. Yeah. No, okay.
It could. I mean, the thing is that when you're not going to spend money, then these are the guys that you end up with. And if they could come out, even if it's just like, we signed this because we're having some, a couple of the guys go down, and you need somebody, you sign Nestor Cortez. Maybe he can give you 2 or 3 starts.
Lucas Giolito.
Well, see, that's one that I'm surprised hasn't been signed.
And I think, right, me too. And when you look at the Angels rotation, there's so many question marks, which seems to be the running theme. But why wouldn't you add somebody like a Giolito
because of the history?
Yeah, well.
Because he supposedly was going through a divorce when they signed him the last time, and he wasn't focused, and so now.
Okay, but maybe he's not now, or what would be bad if he signs with the Angels and he goes through another divorce? That would be horrible.
Or he has nightmares about the last one, and I don't know. But he pitched okay in Boston.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Tyler Anderson still out there. He's not coming back, and I wouldn't want that for the Angels. John Gray.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, he really does fit in. would not go with this one, but I'm going to name him Frankie Montas.
Right.
No. Yeah, see.
Too much
There's
potential
too much.
downside there.
And then Marcus Stroman.
Yeah, I think he's done.
Yeah. Alex Cobb, but he's, like 38. So,
Yeah, but maybe,
but
you bring somebody like that. He's, the wily veteran.
yeah. And this is a guy who's still out there, but is injury prone. So I know why hasn't been signed. And that is Tony Gonsolin.
Right.
And so, which is unfortunate because I like Tony. I liked him as a dog, and he had moments, but then it was just, it was like he got injured. He had Tommy John, and then it just, then he had another. So,
Right.
let's see here. Who else? I think that's it that I would really, that's still out there. That's like floating. Would the Angels? I mean, if they haven't already signed him, I don't know what they're gonna do.
Well, yeah, I think they're going to go with what they got at this point and see. And the thing is that the longer they kind of wait on stuff, as other teams start seeing issues off the top, those guys are going to get pulled in, and then they're not going to be there. But because the Angels aren't looking for winners, because the Angels fans don't demand it,
No,
it's not gonna happen. So what you gonna do? I mean, this is a team who up until recently didn't even. I mean, in fact, they're showing no spring training games except for this weekend. There will be the start of the Freeway Series.
right.
That will be seen. The Angels finally came up. They got their own streaming platform, and then they bought basically I don't know what it's called, Main Street Sports or something like that. And their games are still going to be played on the FanDuel network. Is going to remain the FanDuel network, and they're going to play their games there. And then along with the LA Kings hockey team is also part of that deal. But so you'll be able to see games. We were wondering about that. What's going to happen with Angels games? So it's just the best part is that any player that you want to go see, oh, hey, Kansas City Royals are coming to town. I want to see Bobby Witt Jr. They can do just like the Clippers used to always do. The Clippers didn't have anybody. So when they would advertise like, hey, this is the 5-game set of tickets, see great players and then name all the top stars on the other teams.
Right.
And the Angels can do that too, Hey, the Bobby Witt and the Kansas City Royals are coming to Anaheim. All of that could be,
Yeah.
they can do that. The Brent Rooker and the A's, Nick Kurtz and the A's or whoever.
Yeah, whoever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that would be. I mean, that's the Angel. That seems the Angel's way. Come see Bobby Witt Jr. and the Kansas City Royals play your Angels and get helmet nachos for however much.
$20 instead of $22.
Right. I don't know how much they are.
We're driving down the price of helmet nachos from $21.50 to $21.
Woo!
All right. So, there's just not anything to be, my neighbor asked me, how do you feel about are you excited to watch your Angels? And I said, no, not really. There's nothing to be excited about. I'm a fan. I'll always be a fan. I was a fan when they weren't doing well in other parts of the time. For about the first 10 years of my life, they had like one winning record.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's your team. You're always going to root for your team, regardless of how they're doing.
So, but yeah, there is TV deal. Who knows if that's going to change anything as far as the money part of the deal for the Angels. And then, like I said, the one question we'll ask ourselves all season 7 will be, number one, is it true winning doesn't matter? And number two, whether it does or it doesn't, can they, break through and make it into the playoffs finally? I would say their roster is not so bad that they don't have a chance. The question will be, are they going to play well enough to try to get there? We know that people seem to be good with Kurt Suzuki. Seems like he's got a decent staff around him. I know Logan O'Hoppe, the catcher, has been, and I forgot to mention him along the way, said that he's like fallen in love with catching all over again because of Kurt Suzuki, and now I can't remember his name, the catching coach, who was a former Angel. I can't remember his name. But anyway, he's there, and they're helping him, and can Mike Trout lead them, somewhere? I don't know.
And Max Stassi.
Max Stassi, thank you.
You're
And then,
welcome.
there's the conversations they had, Trey Mancini, when they brought that up about how he's just not looking like that, is Brady Anderson. He says, Brady Anderson saved my season a few seasons ago. Here's a guy who came back from cancer.
Yeah.
He's had some decent, but he's not really ever fully come back. He's had moments.
Right.
But Brady Anderson, we'll see. Is this a year of a bigger breakout for Joe Adell? Will he hit more home runs? Will he break the 40 home runs? Or will he fall back into his old? There's so many questions that we got to answer. And the only spots that we can say we're sure of is first and short. I guess catcher, if he's really coming around. But last year we couldn't count on that. So, Neto and Shanuel seem to be there. And if Trout can stay healthy, then we've got 3 guys who do that. And if Jorge Soler can be half of the guy that he was before, there's a good chance. And it won't matter that, we're switching between Vaughn Grissom and Adam Frazier at second base, or Yohan Moncada and Heimer Candelario. It's going to be, there's going to be some things going around. The key will be, is our pitching going to be good enough? Will our bullpen with these veterans come through? But will those guys be able to put runs on the board and stop runs?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest part. I think too, Joe Adell was started, during last season. He had where he just started playing baseball without the worrying of, that big the chip on his shoulder that he seemed to have. That seemed to come off. So I think there's that. They do. I mean, Suzuki does have good guys around him. The pitching coach, Mike Maddox.
Mm-hmm.
And then you mentioned the hitting coach, Brady Anderson. You have Adam Eaton, who is first base coach, outfield coach. So you've got, you've got guys that are, they played, and they could really be good for an Angels team that is still really, pretty young for the most part.
Yeah, just a handful of veterans, and most of their key spots are younger kids. So so we'll see where that goes. I mean, yes, I would love to see them play better. Do I expect it? No, but we'll see.
We'll see.
World Baseball Classic has come to an end, and no, the U.S. did not win for the second straight Classic in a row. It came down to the last strike, and in both cases, somebody struck out. And that was the end of the game. And the U.S. did not win. Nope. Japan, obviously, last time when teammates Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout faced off. And then this time, I don't even remember who was at the plate. And I don't know the guy from Venezuela. Yeah, he was such a great pitcher. They changed the name of their country.
Their whole country.
Yes, and even though he wasn't Venezuelan, they changed it to Venezuela.
It doesn't matter. The impact.
Yes, in
that
the Hispanic world. Anyway,
Yes.
so Venezuela, and I don't remember the pitcher's name. And, it's funny because there's players on some of these teams. When you look at the U.S. team, everybody on there is a major leaguer. Some of them are even potential Hall of Famers. And one guy is going to be all season. They're going to be talking about this guy. We'll talk about him in a second. But Venezuela, played a great game and took advantage of the U.S.'s mistakes and inability to hit, including their captain, Aaron Judge. And they were able to walk away with it and win their first ever WBC title.
Yeah, I mean, I did not feel good about the USA going into this going up against Venezuela. Mainly because you look at the who they had for the starting pitcher. That's not who you pitch in your championship game.
No, but the guy who probably would have set up to pitch that game chose not to play anymore.
Right. Which I have an issue with because we knew beforehand. It was already known that Tarek Skubal was going to be part of the Team USA roster. However, he was going to pitch against Great Britain and it was going to be maybe 55 pitches. It's like, why bother? Why bother leaving Tigers spring training to do that? Then he got a taste of WBC and it was like, well, I think I'm going to stay. I want to be part of this. But we all knew he wasn't going to stay and he didn't stay. And I think that hurts you gave up on your teammates because your agent, who's Scott Boras, said, probably said, don't do anything, you could hurt yourself or you could do this or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that the Tigers, I haven't that said, because if they didn't want him to be on the WBC team, play, they would have said no.
The Dodgers basically stopped Roki.
Exactly. They're like, nope, you're not going. We need you here. We got to work on you. So I don't think it was the team. I don't think it was the Tigers. I think it was him and his agent, and it was selfish. Because don't go if you're not gonna be invested.
Right.
So that's why, you have who you had that started. It was Kyle Schwarber who struck out swinging. And I guess that's why he was upset. He got his silver medal and took it off before he even got to the dugout.
Yeah,
I don't want this thing.
He wasn't the only one to do that. I saw later on, but
but but you look. Bryce Harper, he deserved better. He was 2 for 4 in this game. Judge 0 for 4. Schwarber 0 for 3. Bregman 0 for 3.
Mm-hmm.
Will Smith 0 for 3. Bryce Strang was 1 for 3. I mean, but you can't win. You can't win a champion. And then also, Mark DeRosa as a manager. In the next WBC, they need to find somebody else. One, you need to know the rules. And you can't just say, "Oh, I thought we already made the quarterfinals," and then give guys days off. This isn't it's not the same kind of tournament like brackets or anything like that. It's, you play, and then it depends on, if there's a tie, it depends on run differentials. It depends on, there's so much stuff that goes into it. And he was already a manager before the last time they played. And he doesn't know the rules. And then he's on MLB Network with his buddies and they don't correct him. They don't know the rules.
Not only that, but then he said that all of these people who are good baseball people around him, did they not tell him what was going on?
Yeah, I guess not, right?
He and there wasn't. You could see in the way that Venezuela was celebrating the win that this meant far more to them than it would ever mean to any of the U.S. players. Yeah, they wanted the gold medal, but I don't think they cared as much. It didn't carry the same weight with them that it did Venezuela.
I think, and I think too, sometimes they have a tendency, you take things for granted that way, especially, the U.S. teams. Now, Bryce Harper did come out and say, pretty much dissed WBC. Yeah, we're playing for the U.S., but it's not the same as the Olympics. The Olympics are coming up in 2028. They'll be in Los Angeles. So they're like, oh, we want to play on the Olympic team. But are you really going to be able to play on the Olympic team if you don't do well in the WBC? Like, do you, do you deserve a spot?
Maybe.
I'm not saying Bryce Harper didn't play well, but I'm just saying that's the attitude was. But then you had like Paul Skeens, who was like, I am so, I'm proud to be in this uniform with the USA across it. I think there's you need a manager and the team around you, the coaching staff, everybody to be excited about this champion, this opportunity, this classic. And who knew that Italy would be undefeated, up until, but still, I mean, that's what I mean. There's things that happen in these type of tournaments, that stun people. Like Italy, I don't think of Italy as a baseball.
And when you think of who was on their team,
right?
Talk about the teams that don't have. Venezuela had all-stars on their team.
Yeah.
Dominican Republic was like the U.S. team, nothing but all-stars.
Yeah, it was stacked.
Across the board. When you look at Italy, it was Vinny Pasquantino.
Yeah.
You had Aaron Nola and Michael Lorenzen. There were some other names probably as you look, but these were the guys that were, you didn't have guys that were showing up as like huge, Hall of Fame potential or, constant all-stars. And they, the U.S. didn't take them. And here's one thing, though, I will say, based on what the U.S. had, even if they did set, say, Bregman and Harper in the game against Italy, the people that they had to replace them weren't like some minor leaguers.
Yeah.
It was Paul Goldschmidt and Gunnar Henderson.
Right.
It's not like they were bad players. It's just he didn't have any sense of urgency.
No.
And that reflected in their play.
Exactly. And you needed somebody. He's retired. He after the this year's WBC, but the pitcher who he struck out Shohei Ohtani in the last, the previous World Baseball Classic, and then this year he pitched in had 4 2/3 scoreless innings in his final appearance. Japanese fans gave him an ovation, standing
right, yeah.
ovation. He's an I mean, he says he's an electrician. He's an electrical technical engineer. That's his day job.
Mm-hmm.
But he's out there for his country. I mean, maybe that's what we needed.
I honestly think that we need to go back to, I mean, obviously not every year you're going to have Olympic teams that are, Mark McGuire and
Right.
all those kind of guys that were there, but we need to go back to that amateur standing. We've got guys, college players. We watch enough college baseball throughout the year that there are guys who are going to come up. Paul Scanes was once a college pitcher.
Yep, we watched him.
Watched him in the College World Series with LSU. All these guys, instead of it being, well, it's the pros. Well, the other countries use their pros. Yeah, but when it comes to certain games or certain sports, you're right. The answer for like the Olympics was always, we got this guy who is a part-time or is a plumber
Mm-hmm.
and a ski jumper.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
But and the guy from, whatever, Austria is a full-time ski jumper. That's all he does. Okay, well, I get that. But when it comes to basketball, when it comes to baseball, and those things, they're not we don't need the absolute best or who we say are the best, because look what happens.
Yeah.
Other teams can come through and beat them. There's no reason why, when all this carrying on about the Dodgers, that the Dodgers shouldn't be 162-0 every season based on just the crap that gets circulated around them. How can anybody compete? Everybody has competed with them. They've had their issues. The same thing here. We had the team that was supposedly the best of the best. I can't think of looking at any of the teams and saying, really, who had a better overall roster than the U.S.? Nobody. Dominican was close. Venezuela was fairly close. But when you look at all of them, we were like top to bottom. And then, except for pitching in some cases. And it's not like the kid McLean didn't look good.
Yeah.
They didn't, and it's not like that the U.S. lost 13-2. They lost 3-2. Yes.
Right. It wasn't like they ran all over them. It's just, I think it goes back to just kind of the attitude. Like, you look at us. We have these big contracts. We're going to walk into this World Baseball Classic and we're going to win. Now, honestly, when it started, I was like, well, Japan, I think, would probably
all of us thought that
would win. But then as you watch these other teams play, Dominican Republic, obviously Venezuela, you're like, oh, wait a minute. This could change.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. There wasn't a lot of offense. There was some, like Bobby Witt Jr., holy cow, there were some people that were like, I didn't realize how good of a baseball player he is,
Right.
with some of the things that he was doing. But yeah.
All right. So here's the question. A couple of questions have come out of this WBC. Number one, the WBC has been set up, and I know it's been off and on because of COVID, changed some things in that, but every 4 years. Some people have said, should it be every 2? Or they did 3 years this time, because the last one was 2023 and this. And then the other thing that came up was, should they do it instead of an all-star game? The question is, do any of those things make sense to you? As far as, should we do these more often? I mean, one person did say, look at it, and honestly, that kind of goes with this. Somebody along the way, and I don't know who to attribute this quote, a player said, this is like um, winning a World Series. To which Derek Jeter said, anybody who said that has never played in a World Series before.
It's probably correct.
Right. And the other thing is why are we so hyped up about something that's happening in spring training? These players are not fully ready for a season yet, necessarily. Although now it's a lot different than it used to be, as far as like what the training and everything, because they train all year round. But the question, should this, people were excited about it. I bet you that the Marlins front office and ownership wished that they could get their stadium filled like it was for the Venezuela U.S. game. I mean, I didn't hear a lot of people cheering for the U.S. in that stadium.
No,
But
I think the whole country.
They could have, but they're like, how does this happen? But it's it can be a good thing for baseball. It gets people involved. And when you start doing countries, people get fired up about their country. They don't necessarily care about a specific team like the Marlins or even the Dodgers for that matter. But but their country, they get excited about. So what do you think? Should it take over for the All-Star game? And should they do it not necessarily every year, but every couple of years? More frequently?
I don't know. I mean, maybe every 2 years. Because then it would have, I think, it kind of becomes on the same level as like the Olympics people look forward to, instead of, every 3 years people kind of forget about it and then they like, oh, it's getting closer. I don't know. That one I'm not quite sold on, because I think 2-3 years, maybe the 3 years good. But the replacing the All-Star game, I wonder how that would work, because it's a it's a tournament, right? So it's not like you're going to play 24-hour baseball, or and you have a break anyway. But would that mean a shortened season when they do have the World Baseball Classic? Would that open it up to, I think one of the things that always with the World Baseball Classic makes me nervous is, they're in spring training. Obviously, you can always get injured in spring training, but then you're going to play in the World Baseball Classic and you could really get injured there, and then you're out for the season. So that's always made me nervous.
Well,
It's almost,
there were a lot of times where there were restrictions. For instance, in this final game, Mason Miller, there was a deal with the Padres that if there was a lead going into the bottom of the ninth, you could use Mason Miller. If you were behind, the Padres didn't want him pitching.
So, yeah, and that's where I think we need to get away from. I think we just need to get away from using the MLB players because of things like that. Because again, it's the commitment.
Right.
So, but if you did it mid-season, because you have guys this happens all the time, where they're voted onto the All-Star team, but they're like, I'm not going to play because, I need a break.
Right.
We've seen that happen. And in a situation like this, it's gonna. I just wonder how's it gonna go? Like, how is the format gonna go? How long of the break is it gonna be? Um, so
Well, and I would
who?
think at that point, at the beginning of the season, somebody gets hurt, they may make it back in the season. In the
Yeah,
middle of the season, somebody gets hurt, and
they're out.
obviously could always happen in a regular game. But
Right.
when it's a game that is part of what you're playing for in a season,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get injured in a exhibition, for lack of a better term, then yeah, that changes things.
Yeah.
But I also think that if you commit, just like we talked about, once you commit to be in it, you're there, whatever. And once your team says yes, we're fine with you going to play, then that's the end of it.
Yeah.
They're not, they can say, here's the schedule that he's on. Please try to stay with that. But if the goal is to win and fully represent your country, then it's just like playing in the World Series
Right.
or in game like that or tournament. If you're looking to win, then you do what you have to do. And it's not, oh, you know what, I'm going to pitch one game and throw 50 pitches like it's a spring outing.
Yeah.
It's a higher stakes game, and if you're going to be part of the team, then you're fully a part of the team or you're not.
I mean, I think WBC obviously, it set attendance records, it set broadcast records, and it's gonna come back. We're gonna have another WBC. I just don't know, you know, having it mid-season, would clubs be most less likely to restrict their players? Or because that some people said, "Oh, they because it's in the middle of this season, they're not gonna restrict their players like they would at the beginning of the season." But if you are in a playoff, even by a lot can happen, but if it's in that All-Star break and then after that, but you're where you are in your division, are you is your team gonna restrict you from from playing because they need you to, for the playoffs? And, looking forward, I just yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just not sure about this one because I feel like I know Rob Manfred has said, well, there is an all-star game through they're committed to an all-star game through 2028. And that leaves it open to this mid-season tournament that he's been talking about, but I just what's the buy-in going to be from the players that have already played 90 games
Right.
at this point? Would it open up to college players being part
Well,
of the
I
team?
think you'd have to college or minor leaguers
Yeah,
to
minor.
bring
So,
up to build and have a good roster or a good system that you can so you have people that can play, and it's
yeah.
not like with the pros. Yeah, I don't know how we about that. What I do know is that I'm sure that Rob is looking at what happened. He's looking at how that stadium down there was rocking,
Oh, yeah.
and that he wants to grab hold of that, but he's also on the verge of screwing it all up anyway. Um,
That's always a given.
right, but we're in. Is this the last year of baseball as we know it?
True. Yeah, I
And
mean,
so, how do will they once again shoot themselves in the foot? And will this, the World Baseball Classic, I know they want to continue with it. I know that it brought in a lot, and people are excited about baseball. If not just because of that, but they're excited about it because people are excited to either love or hate the Dodgers or
Right.
love or
Yeah.
hate somebody. And so all of those things that we're talking about and things that we will talk about all through season 7 are all things that we got to look at. Will there be on December 1st, 2026, a lockout? And if there
Yeah.
is, how much of one? And what will
Mhm.
play into to that lockout? Well, the WBC, um, is that something that, as part of all of these things, is that something that's going to have to be worked in, and how to make that, fix that into it? And of course, all the things about salary caps and all the other stuff that,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think World Baseball I mean, it's good. WBC is good for baseball. Um, and it does open it up, internationally. And I misspoke before because I said I don't think that the Tigers, but I guess Tarek Skubal did agree with the Detroit to limit to one appearance. I think Scott Boras also had a hand in that as well. So to me, it's like, well, then you just don't participate.
well, maybe that should be something that should be part of it. Hey, if you're going into your walk year, because that's it, he's in
Right.
his walk year now.
Yeah.
Don't don't play.
Yeah.
So that way you're ready and you're 100. So that way later on, if something happens, you can't blame it on WBC. You can't, you just move forward and go from there. Well, like I said, we'll see a lot of that. Some changes before we bail out today. Some things that one big thing that we're going to see that's going to be different in baseball this year is ABS.
Mhm.
And we're already getting an idea about how that's going to work, and that there's going to be people that shouldn't be making these decisions. And quite a few
Right.
pitchers, at least veteran pitchers, are saying, "Yeah, I shouldn't be involved in any of this." Chris Bassett was one that said, "I no, we shouldn't be involved because we're emotional about our pitches, and we see something that's close." And in fact, in one minor league game, the catcher was like, "No, don't do it," and the pitcher's tapping his hat. He's like, "No, no, 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 no,
Yeah.
no," and they
Don't
lost the
do it.
challenge. And it brings up a lot of things. Are there still going to be framing? Yeah. But the question will be, will they get to a point where they're trying to frame off a little bit so that the player will challenge it, even though they knew that they're challenging opposite of what it really was. They know it's a strike, and he's challenging it because he thought it was a ball because of the way that they framed it. There's stuff like
Yes,
that
I
that
I think so because before catchers they knew the umpires. They're back with them 9 innings, right? They're playing the whole game. They get to know the umpires. They know the umpires. Okay, this guy he calls high. This guy calls low. This guy calls, his zone is tighter. His zone is wider. And now they need to watch the hitter and how the hitter what are what's the hitter doing?
what's his tendencies to
What's
thing.
the
Yeah.
tendency? Does he have a tendency, to swing this, whatever it may be. And so that will be interesting. I think ABS uh teams get 2 challenges. They're going to have to be really careful, like you said, with who decides. Are you going to let a pitcher just, say, hey, I don't know. I think to me, maybe you leave it up to the catcher. You can't have any help from the dugout. So the dugout
Right.
can't say, hey, challenge, challenge. It's got to be up to, it's the hitter, the pitcher, the catcher.
Well, and the
Uh,
catcher is going to be in the best spot because he knows, oh, I caught it low and then brought it up.
right.
So it's probably not. But there's going to be times where he's going to know right on. And there's going to be certain hitters that are great hitters, have a great eye, and
Mm-hmm.
will be able to call those things. So that'll be interesting to see that. And then there's some things going on in the minor leagues that may or may not make their way to the major leagues. But one of them is the check swing, and they're going to be in one of I don't remember what A level. I think it's just A, like high A or something like that. But when they get to a certain spot, then they'll be able to challenge that to did he go around instead of just the first base or the third base umpire saying yes or no. They'll be able to challenge that and see what really happened.
So I will be able to see this firsthand because the isotopes will be part of this. The Albuquerque isotopes will be part of this check swing technology.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll have to do some.
Only the PCL, the Pacific Coast League,
Yes.
and AAA is going to be doing that. So there's that, and so we'll see how it all plays out. And some of those things they're talking about in one level, they're moving second base so that it'll be the actual diamond, and second base is a little farther out when they move it so that it's the actual diamond. And they're doing that on the hopes that there'll be more stealing.
Yeah.
More running game and stuff like that. So there's going to be a few things, and we'll probably run across those through the season as those come up. But
fewer disengagements. So
Yes.
So in the three double-A leagues, the Eastern Texas and Southern leagues, pitchers will be allowed to use only one disengagement instead of two. So there'll be a balk on the second pickoff. Again, still more stolen bases. That's what they're looking at. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what, if these will ever make it to the majors, but it could. In low A leagues, the batters will no longer be allowed to call timeout at any point in an at bat, except for special circumstances. And then limited batter timeouts in high A. So they can only a batter can only call timeout or call time, with a runner on base. Again, special circumstances will be the exception.
All because from one season to the next, the games, after reducing time to 2 hours and 36 minutes, went up to 2 hours and 38 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
And so now they're going to try to find ways to eliminate that.
Yeah, I mean, some of these things, it's like quicker mound visits. They want to speed those up. So there's going to be a mound visit countdown clock.
Mm-hmm.
Pitch comm glitches. So in AAA, they can, what they're saying is that pitchers are stopping the clock more often by claiming that their pitch comm doesn't work. So in AAA, they can still do that, but it'll be counted against their mound visit. So you can still have if you say, "Oh, my pitch comm's not working," then it counts against you. But if it's really not working, that doesn't seem
There's
fair.
got to be a way that they could prove it.
Right.
They say the term they used was chicanery.
Yes.
So
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, lots of different things, but I think especially I will try to give a first-hand account of the check swing at some point during the season.
I like it. All right. Well, that is just to kind of get an overview of what's going on, and kind of a little bridge from season 6 to season 7. We'll have a lot to talk about, and of course, like I said, we don't know. This time next year, we might be coming up with new ways to have some other baseball, or we might be talking about Little League, for all that matters. Of course, we might do that this season too. So, and we always do around August anyway, but we
Yep.
might have something about that before. So, um, it's been cool to hang out with you. It's been a few months, so we're happy to be back, and we're happy baseball is right here. And then
Yes.
once we're ready, we will let you know when the season 7 debut, the premiere. Don't forget, you can find us on our social media, Twitter and Blue Sky at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
And on Facebook and Instagram, it's Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
SiblingRivalryBB.com is our website, and you can always hit the Fanatics link to get some of your favorite gear, including Venezuela country, WBC championship gear, among other things. And one thing that I got is I got the Angels Irish St. Patrick's Day cap
Yeah.
this last time. So
Gonna come in handy.
So plenty of things there. Like I said, SiblingRivalryBB.com, and hit the Fanatics link. Either one, Angels or Dodgers, either way, and you can find anything. And don't forget March Madness gear as well. Support your favorite college basketball team as they find their way to into the tournament and maybe to the Final Four and cutting down the nets. We'll see. Regardless, enjoy March Madness, enjoy the beginning of the season, and we will see you about mid-April for the premiere of Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast season number 7. Oh, and don't forget to swing away.